In this presentation, we will be examining a rhetorical situation through in-depth analysis and explanation of the content. To begin, we should familiarize ourselves with some of the terms that are to be discussed. First, we will discuss precedents. Precedents are events that spark the exigence. Exigence is defined by Keith Grant Davey as an imperfection marked by urgency. In other words, exigence is what leads to the discourse that invites a response. It is what the rhetoric is responding to and what happened to cause the rhetor to respond that way. Moving forward, we will discuss the rhetor. The rhetor is who is sparking the discourse. The rhetor always addresses an audience. The audience is being addressed by the rhetor. There are two types of audiences. Rhetorical audience is specifically targeted because they are able to modify the exigence, and non-rhetorical audience may see or hear the discourse but do not have the ability to modify the exigence. The audience may include potential customers or someone simply assisting the rhetor in some way. The purpose is what the rhetor is trying to achieve with the discourse. Finally, we can take a look at the rhetorical triangle to give us a better idea of the strategies used in rhetoric situations. Ethos is the rhetor's credibility as defined by Laura Boland Carroll. Logos is defined as the facts behind the discourse. Pathos is the emotional aspect of the discourse where the rhetor is hoping for a sympathetic or empathetic response from their audience. Okay, so here's our rhetorical situation. Mrs. Wolcott is sleeping and her alarm clock sounds. Blah, blah, blah. She rolls out of bed and lethargically makes her way to the kitchen to brew herself a nice morning cup of coffee. She opens up a fresh can of tuna for her cat, Missy. She places the cat's food into its bowl and patiently waits for her kitty to run to the kitchen and begin eating. But this morning was different. Usually her cat runs immediately at the sound of an open container, but today there was no Missy. Mrs. Wolcott begins to become a little unsettled by her cat's absence, so she begins to ravishingly search her house. When no Missy is detected, Miss Wolcott decides to look outside, and still no Missy. And now we are brought to our exigence, the creation of Miss Wolcott's Lost Missy the Cat flyer. The precedent of the cat running away from home would spark the exigence. The exigence of the lost cat poster would include the owner's want for their pet's safe return and a want for security to know that their pet is still in good health and alive. The audience of this flyer will be anyone driving or walking down the street that see the flyer. Also, people who are frequently seeing them may be more familiar with Mrs. Wolcott and more able to accurately give her a location of where and when they last saw her cat. Also, people living in the neighborhood where the flyers are hung, if they were to find the cat, may be more inclined to actually return it. The rhetorical audience in this case would be those good Samaritans that are willing to help Mrs. Wolcott find her cat. The non-rhetorical audience would be those neighbors that are unwilling or unable to help. The rhetor, Mrs. Wolcott, is hoping that the locals in the neighborhood will see the ad, become more familiar with what the cat looks like in order to improve the chances of a safe return of her pet. The purpose of the flyer would be to have Missy safely returned and even promote a neighborhood search for her. Also, to persuade neighbors to keep a close eye out for the cat. The negative constraints on the flyer include the frequency of the flyers around the neighborhood, if the neighbors even notice the flyers, if the cat has passed away or been picked up by someone else, if a neighbor cares enough to keep an eye out for the cat. If it rains, the outdoor location of the flyers will cause them to get washed away and unable to be read. Also, if someone tears them down, they will again be unable to be read. And a reward not being offered may lower the intuition of the neighbors in the search because there is no incentive to help find the cat. The positive constraints would include the lost at the top of the sign brings the reader instantly to the main idea of the poster. The picture of the cat makes the neighbors more aware of what the cat looks like, improving the chances of a return. Now we will be discussing the rhetorical triangle aspect of the flyer. These types of flyers use pathos by utilizing a sad close-up picture of the cat's eyes, making someone more sympathetic towards the rhetorical situation. If someone is already feeling sympathetic, they may be more inclined to assist the cat's original owner in her attempt to find the cat. It also makes use of logos by telling where the cat was lost and on what date. By giving the date, the longer it has been and the owner has not yet found the cat, more of the neighbors will begin to assume that the cat may be permanently lost. Also, by giving the street name, the author of the flyers is able to specify which neighbors should be most attentive to their search. The use of the large font that says "Lost" in capital letters at the top of the flyer is also considered logos. The word "lost" states the fact that, of course, the cat is missing.